In the beginning, when all creatures spoke the same language, or as my grandmother would say, the days when the animals could talk, the people could understand them, and except for killing and eating each other, everybody got along pretty good. In those days, they say, lived the first man and the first woman. And they were husband and wife, which is, you know, and it says, the story says they loved one another dearly. They spent their days discovering the wonders of this beautiful world and their nights discovering the wonders of each other. But for those of you who are married, you know the honeymoon doesn't always last. There came a time when that first man and that first woman had their first fight. And you know, later neither could remember what the quarrel was even about. But at the time, harsh and ugly words flew back and forth between them. And finally, in anger and in grief, the woman turned and walked away. She was going east toward grandmother's son as she rose. Well, the man sat alone in his house. He told himself how peaceful and quiet it was without that woman. But you know, as time passed and he forgot his anger, he became very, very lonely. He thought about all the wonderful times that he and his wife had shared. He thought about the love and the respect that they had always given each other. And he felt so bad about the fight that they had had that he dropped his head into his hands and he began to cry. And Uneklana, Creator, the maker of all good things, heard that man crying and said, "Man, why do you cry?" The man said, "My wife left me." Creator said, "Why did she leave?" And the man hung his head and wouldn't answer. "You quarreled with her. I could hear you." And the man nodded. "Tell me this," said Creator. "If she came back to you now, would you treat her that way again?" And the man said no. He wanted to live the way they had lived before, in peace, in happiness, and in love. And so Creator said, "Well, then I will tell you. I've seen your wife. She's walking east." So the man began following her, but he couldn't overtake her. Everyone knows an angry woman walks fast. Creator said, "Let me see if I can make her slow down." So Creator went on ahead and found the woman. She was doing that walk. Some of you may have seen this walk. Some of you may have done this walk. Fast, furious footsteps, gaze fixed straight ahead, mumbling to herself. She was still angry. Creator said, "I need to make her slow down." So he put sarvisberry bushes by the trail, caused them to burst into bloom and ripen into fruit, thinking the woman would stop and pick the berries and eat. But you know, she couldn't even see them. She was gazing straight ahead, anger still in her heart. She swept right by them. Creator put blackberry bushes by the trail, caused them to burst into bloom and ripen into fruit, and still the woman kept walking. She could see nothing but her anger, and her footsteps did not slow. Finally, Creator said, "I will make an entirely new kind of fruit, one that grows close to the ground, because only by bending her head for a moment will the woman forget this anger." So a thick green carpet began to grow along the trail the woman was following. It was starred with tiny white flowers, and each flower ripened into a berry that was the color and the shape of the human heart. And as the woman was walking, she stepped on some of those berries and crushed them under her feet. And this wonderful smell rose. So she stopped and looked down. And there were all those tiny, beautiful red berries growing in profusion all along the trail she was following. She couldn't resist. She reached down and picked one and ate it, and its taste was as sweet as love itself. And so now she was walking very slowly, picking those berries as she went, and she saw her husband coming behind her. And do you know, the anger was gone from her heart. When she saw him, all she remembered was how much they loved one another, how much they took care of each other. And so she sat down to wait for him. And when he came up to her, she shared those wonderful berries with him. And you know, the story says they lived out their days in peace and in happiness and in love. I've been married 32 years. I bet they had another fight or two. But never again did the woman walk away from the home that they had made together. And that's how Creator made strawberries. They're the color and the shape of the human heart, the sweetest tasting of all the berries. Cherokee people say they were put here to bring peace between men and women. And even today, Cherokee women keep strawberries in the kitchen. In spring when they're fresh, and then you bake with them, you make strawberry pie, even if it's just a jar of strawberry jam. Cherokee women say, if there is strawberries in the kitchen, there will be peace in the house. Why don't?